How's it, guys? So I'm doing a follow-up video on the communal herd that I'm working with. Now the herd is broken up into 3 groups or 3 herds, and this is a different herd to the one that I recorded the previous time. However, the whole purpose of this is to have a look and see what all the animals look like, so I can get an overall impression and be better positioned in my discussions with the owners. Now, just quickly for what it's worth, for our overseas viewers who might not know, communal animals are owned by people living in townships. They do not own farming land or property. They graze their cattle mostly on municipal pastures or lands like this. And most of them don't have a steady income either. Many of them, in fact, of the owners that I saw are actually, well, I don't want to say fairly old, but they're of the older generation and many are retired. So they don't have access to a lot of infrastructure, they don't have access to a lot of cash, and they do the best they can with what they have, as do many smaller farmers. Now, this herd actually looks very, very good, and there's a reason I'm having a look at this one, because when I passed by, I saw the body condition of these animals looks better than the body condition of the other herd that I recorded last time, and I wanted to know why. For what it's worth, I had a meeting with the community 2 weeks ago, and we've reached a bit of a crossroads because I've made certain recommendations. I'm not here to enforce anything, I can only recommend. So I've made certain recommendations and they need to go back, discuss it amongst themselves, because it has fairly large implications. So what did I recommend? Well, before I get there, let's just quickly have a look at the type of grazing that these animals are grazing currently. We are currently in what is known as a green drought, which means that we're getting way less rain than what we normally would or should have in an average year. But we're getting just enough rain to keep the grass green. Now, what does that mean? Well, what's the function of every living organism on this planet? The function is to reproduce so that the species can be maintained. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. So the whole idea of every living being on this planet, or the main function, is to reproduce, to maintain the species, and that includes grass. So when you have a season like this, which is a green drought, you've got a lot of grass growing, and if you look in the background there, it looks like there's a lot of grass, but there's not. Because what basically happens is, have a look down here. I'm not going to zoom in, I think you guys will get the idea. But the grass doesn't push out a lot of leaves. There's not a lot of foliage or grazing volume. Times like this, grass just wants to survive. So the slightest bit of rain that there is, grass starts putting out stalks and seed heads, so that there'll be a seed bank for when times improve. So what does that mean for these cattle? This is the best grazing they have. This piece here, I would guess at about 40 hectares. And way in the background are more cattle over there as well. You can't see them from here. And there's probably close to 800 head of cattle grazing here. All 3 herds have combined. So we've got 800 head of cattle grazing on round figures 40 hectares. And there's not a lot of grass. And we're talking about January. So our growing season is fast running out. It's a drier year. And that means that by the winter, these animals won't have much to graze on. So coming back to my recommendations, what have I recommended them to do? Well, as I said, this herd is run figures about 800 plus head of cattle, all told. Their total grazing area is give or take 1,000 hectares, which means in an area like this, where good grazing supports 7 hectares to 1 large stock unit, it means that they're way overstocked. So the first bit of advice I gave to them, I said, guys, you need to consider selling off all the unproductive animals. All the unproductive animals, so that we can start implementing a rotational grazing system, ensuring that grazed areas get sufficient rest and that the soil can actually close up, because you can see here there's a lot of exposed soil. And the types of grasses growing here aren't your climax grasses. They're not your high yielding, high nutritional climax grasses. They are in fact subclimax and pioneer species. The problem with that is the cattle have something to eat, but it doesn't have the best grazing value. So I say to them, guys, consider getting rid of all the unproductive animals. If a cow or a heifer hasn't calved in the last 2 years, sell her. While they're in a fairly good condition for this type of grazing, sell them off. Take the money and pocket it. I'm not saying sell off all your animals, but we should try and bring the stocking density or the stocking rate down by 30 to 50%. That's step one. Step two, all the little bull calves that are unnecessary or that are running around here, all the mixed breed calves. It's not that there's anything wrong with them necessarily, but not all of them are of a suitable type. So step two would be to remove as many of the incorrect type, if I could put it that way, and get in bulls from more suitable breeds that would do better under these conditions. Now that's asking a lot, I understand that. Excuse me. As I said, many of these guys they don't have deep pockets, they don't have a lot of cash in the bank, and the animals walking here are basically their wealth. The only problem is this herd is growing at a rate of about 10 to 15% per year. It's not an exact figure, it could be more, but this is what I've kind of been able to work out. They have round figures about a 30% calving rate, which is very poor. And the reason for that, once again, is grazing and the type of animals that they have here. So the herd will be growing at about 10-15% every year, which means in 5 years' time, there'll be way over 1,000 animals with still this type of grazing. Can you see where I'm going with this? Every year is going to become more and more difficult to maintain these animals. And when it comes to winter, they have to buy in feed, not so much to keep the animals fat, because the animals don't go into the winter as being very fat, not most of them in any case. But they have to buy in feed just so that the animals can survive. And one of the big problems is these animals don't have a good market value given their body condition most times of the year. So my advice was, consider selling off some of the animals that are unproductive. Consider bringing the herd numbers down. And of course, the third piece of advice was, put all the animals together in one herd. Because in doing so, it's easier to plan your grazing, it's easier to rest areas, it's easier to have a better impact on the veld. Now, just take note, I've mentioned this before. Despite these animals grazing here, there's no manure patties. They've been grazing here all week. And all that really tells you is they don't get enough food in for them to poop it out over here. And they spend all their time grazing because they have a short grazing period. So all the manure that we'd like on the grass or the grazing or the veld, most of it gets pooped out in the corral or the kraal where they sleep at night, which isn't ideal either, but it is what it is. Coming back to this specific group of animals, there's some really beautiful looking animals here, I must say. There's a cow that's run away from me. I saw a really beautiful bull. In fact, I said to them, if ever the owner wants to sell the bull, he must let me know. I really like the bull. There we are. There he is. I just want to show you guys. There he is. Now, this is what many people would call a boss bull or a veld bull. I'm not sure what his breed is. He's probably a mixture of a couple of animals, but he's actually a very good looking bull. And I like the fact that he's masculine, he's well muscled, and he's not emaciated. So despite the fact that he's got all these ladies to look after, he's able to maintain body condition. And that's the type of animals we're looking at. Here in front we've got a Friesland type cow. I'm assuming, I can see that she gets milked. I'm assuming she's been given a bit of meal, because what a lot of these guys do is they sell off the milk, and the milk in turn generates an income so that they can actually feed the cow again. So not not at all the ideal type of animal just for farming. Just look at this bull. Guys, this is a beautiful bull. This is a boss bull. Just look at him. Just look at him. I would not hesitate at all to use a bull like this in my herd. I don't care what his genetic makeup is. Based on what I can see, look how narrow or light he is in the back end, and look how he deepens going forward. So here's a V opening up from tail to the front. He's muscular, he's masculine. This is actually a beautiful, beautiful bull. I really like him, and what I like is also that he doesn't stand way higher than the cows. I know I've gone off topic now. I'll get back to what I was saying. That's really a beautiful bull. Anyway, so there are animals in this herd that are more, better or less suited to this type of farming. Here's another bull here. He's not at all a good specimen in my opinion. And these are the types of animals I would advise selling off. He's crippled in any case, so maybe he's been fighting. But these are the animals I would advise selling off. Now on the right hand side here is a beautiful cow. She's full of bumps. I'm not sure why she's so full of bumps. Many reasons. And she looks like she has some Boran influence in her. Inalina mani. Ina. Oh, Elashwa. Okay, I'm just confirming, and that's why condition's good. She actually gave birth, but her calf died. And that's one of the reasons you can quickly see under these conditions the animals that are not raising a calf, what they look like. Because the ones that are working hard and raising calves don't have the same body condition. Just have a look at that one over there. Guys, this is February. Now, if she hasn't calved yet, she's due to calve soon. It's difficult for me to see. I don't know the herd. But you can see by her condition, so she's going to struggle in the winter. These are the kinds of animals, and if we look at her, she'll probably not calve next year, and she might have skipped a year or two as well. So going forward, the animals less suited and less adapted to this type of grazing are the ones that I would recommend selling off. All the little bulls that are not required or not necessary, I would sell off. Bring the numbers down and then focus on the right type of bulls. And going forward, maybe band the calves from cows that are not suitable. The whole idea is to rather have, instead of having 10 cows worth 30,000 Rand, the principle I'm working towards is have 3 cows worth 45,000 Rand, if that makes sense. Because it's a lot cheaper to maintain 3 cows than what it is to maintain 10, especially if 7 are unproductive. Just have a look here. Here's another smaller framed bull. He's actually not a bad specimen. He's not as good as the red one, in my opinion. And I just want to get around where we can see him better with the sun. He's got good testicles. He's got good body condition. I don't like his sheath at all. But at least, guys, in this specific group of animals, there are a couple of animals more suited than the previous one. So this is what we want to work towards. Get to a sustainable level where you can have at least more grazing all year round, especially in the winter. Because if these, and there's a lot of them that die in the winter, guys. I've seen a couple of carcasses and old bones and whatnot. They lose a couple of animals. And the animals they lose are the ones that haven't adapted very well. Anyway, all in all, this herd's looking very good. There are a couple of thinner animals, but this herd's actually looking very good. And if you take a good look, you'll see a lot of the fatter animals have some or other adapted breed influence. So there's either a bit of Brahman in or a bit of Boran. I'm not seeing Nguni in these specific animals unless it's that one over there. Let's have a look. She's actually a larger framed cow. But your typical European type animals are not doing as well. Keep in mind, we've got about 2 or 3 months left of the summer. We're busy moving out of the summer. Our growing season has basically passed. She's looking beautiful. Just look at her. Based on the rope around her head, I suspect she gets milked as well. And if she gets milked, she probably gets fed a little bit. Anyway, I just want to have a look. There was another little bull that interested. Okay, this is what won't work at all, in my opinion. And this is what you want to get out. Here's a little heifer that looks like she might have some Nguni in her, based on how fine her frame is. That's the type of animal you're looking for. Just quickly have a look, guys. This is what I'm talking about. This bull is totally unsuitable or unsuited to this type of farming. And while I don't want to criticize the owner in any way or insult him, the problem is he's entire. So he's left to mate anything and to spread his undesirable seed among the rest. These are the kinds of animals I would advocate against, and these are the kinds of animals I would rather sell off. Now, just have a look at this one. Here's an Nguni cow. I don't know that she's pure, it doesn't matter, but look at her calf. If you go back and look at the last video, you'll see in the winter there was nothing. This is their best grazing, and this is not good grazing at all, but this is their best grazing. Just look at that little calf. So that cow is producing that beautiful little calf, and this is what we want to go towards. Smaller framed, lighter cows that can give you a calf like this every year, as opposed to big heavy cows that lose all their condition in the winter or look like that bull, and all they really do is they're just using up your grazing. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to stop there. I must be honest, it's actually been lacquer walking through these animals and looking at them. At the end of the day, these guys love their cattle as much as I love mine. And, you know, cattle are like kids. You'd never see the mistakes or the problems, or you tend to be biased. You don't see the shortcomings as quickly as people from the outside who are not involved would. But I'm going to stop it here, guys. I hope you have a good one. These animals look good. Thank you for the support, and welcome to the new guys. Man, I left this too late. Welcome to the guys who are new to the channel. I'll post a better intro with the next video, and I'll do my shout outs then. Guys, have a good one. We're going to chat again. Cheers.